How many times in your life have you found yourself in a situation where you see something really fucked up happening in front of your eyes and you wish you could do something, you wish you could step in and play a role to hopefully remedy the situation, but you chose to just take a step back? It's okay. The first thing is you don't need to feel guilty. Everybody has been there in this position at some point in their life. Trust me, it happens much more often than you would even care to think about. It's completely normal. There are certain situations when you have to pull back and just observe to understand the full context of the situation. But if you ever find yourself getting disrespected, or you feel as though somebody innocent is getting disrespected and they are helpless, you should step in. And you should absolutely step in and defend them. Because we live in a really fucked up world where many people, unfortunately, don't believe in themselves. They don't believe they have a future and they're just living every single day to just get by. You know, like every single day for them is just a repetition of the exact same cycle, and they truly feel like their life is not going to progress and eventually they're going to pass away and nobody's going to care about them. I know it sounds really, really sad, but that is actually the position that many people are in. They have completely lost hope in standing up for themselves. Why would they stand up for themselves when they themselves don't know how to keep it real? And that's the first thing you got to do, is you have to be able to keep it real with yourself. Regardless of what anybody else says or thinks about you, you have to know how you feel. So if you feel disrespected, your job is to communicate that to somebody else and let them know that, hey, please don't fuck with me. And if you fuck with me, there will be consequences. And I know that sounds really, really harsh. That sounds like, oh man, I'm not a Karen, you know what I'm saying? But it's not about being a Karen. It's called being a person who has a pair of balls, a person with a backbone, a person who stands the fuck up. Man, when I was, I want to say I was 8 or 9 years old, okay, when I first moved to New Jersey from India, my teacher made me take the ESL test 5 times, bro. And I passed every single time. And she kept making me take that test over and over again, 5 times. So one day, I actually asked her, I was like, hey, like, why are you making me, you seeing that I'm getting all of the right answers, I'm passing with flying colors, so is there, like, what is the issue over here? Now, mind you, she was the exact same teacher. Well, actually, I'll get to that in a bit too. But she basically told me, like, you know what, you're Indian, so we don't really know if you actually know how to speak English, so we need to just make sure that you understand American English. And that to me sounds kind of, I don't want to fucking say it, but it sounds really stupid, because I learned British English in India, and I thought my English was fine. I was able to speak and understand English perfectly fine. Of course, I had some mishaps, but I was able to communicate, and I was absolutely able to understand when someone was speaking to me in English too, right? So it was just weird. But again, I was like really, really young. I was like, what, 8 or 9 years old when this happened? I told my mom, we were like new immigrants, bro. We literally just landed in America. Okay, so we didn't even know what racism was. We never even understood that we were actually being discriminated against. My parents did not know that their son was being discriminated against. We had no idea. This was the same teacher that used to basically, and she was not even a teacher. Here's the fucked up part. She was like a fucking counselor in the school. But she used to come in to every single one of my classes where my actual teacher was teaching those classes, and then she used to basically lie to my teachers and tell them that, dude, watch out for this guy because I think he's lying on all of his tests. So in English class, I used to write essays, well-written essays written by myself and everything, submit them, and then my teacher used to take me to the side and be like, did you actually write this, bro? And I used to be like, what do you mean? Of course I did. And then it took me a while to realize that this other guidance counselor, we'll just call her Jay, the guidance counselor, was spreading rumors about me. Fucking stupid ass bitch. Anyways, but that's what was going on. Then, as I got older, eventually I realized that this was not normal. There was nothing normal about this at all. I respect the ESL process. I get it. There's immigrants that come from many different countries to America. They have different first languages. They need to learn English. There's a learning curve. And of course, the American accent is different than, English accents all over the world, right? South African English, that accent is different, for example, than British English. And British English, that accent is different than American English. And by the way, American English is also different than the Canadian English accent. So I get it. I respect the whole ESL process. I just don't respect fuckery, which was what I was dealing with. So fast forward, I'm 21, 22 years old. I'm ordering coffee at my local Tim Hortons cafe, which, by the way, I'm sure you guys have Tim Hortons in America, but in Canada, Tim Hortons it's a staple. We love, for us, Tim Hortons represents Canada. Although it's so sad because they fucking sold off to Burger King. That's what happens. At least we have Rogers and the NHL, so we're still going good. But anyways, I was in Tim Hortons. I was placing an order, or I was waiting in line. I was about to place an order. This other lady in front of me, Canadian woman, okay, it looks like she had European ancestry or something, whatever. She had a Canadian accent. She was placing her order, and the person who was taking her order, the cashier clearly had an accent, and you can tell that the cashier was an immigrant. And this lady started making a big song and dance. Like, she started getting so pissed off. She was like, oh my goodness, I can't even understand you. Like, why don't you just talk like us, huh? Why don't you talk like this, huh? That's so weird. Like, you come to our country, you better learn our language. And I was like, I lost it. At that moment, at that moment, I started getting flashbacks to when I was in grade 5, when my teacher was falsely accusing me of cheating on my essay. And a switch clicked off at me. I just went up and I said, excuse me, you don't have to be disrespectful to her. She can speak English just like you. You might not be able to understand her accent. That's fine. But you don't have to be rude about it. And you certainly don't have to make a scene about it. Okay? And then, you know what this lady told me? She's like, oh, well, the accent that you have is much better. That's the accent that this worker should have as well. I wanted to say so many other things. I wanted to tell her, like, yo, do you even know the history of this entire nation? You know what I'm saying? Do you understand that a lot of these immigrants who are coming to Canada are trying their best to learn about their culture, about your culture? They're trying to learn English. They're trying to complete, and now the requirements to actually get a PR in Canada, they actually make immigrants learn French. So a lot of these immigrants, of course, I'm sure there's some troublemakers out there. I'm sure there are, you know what I'm saying, who just come to Canada, who come to America. They don't even care about the culture. They just want to leech off the system. I get it. I completely get it. But a good percentage of them come into this country and they try to learn about North American culture to the best of their ability. But it's a learning curve, like I said. And for anyone out there, if you're an immigrant, don't let anybody make you give up your culture. Your culture, wherever you're from, will always be a part of you. I'm speaking in a Canadian accent right now. But guess what? मैं हिंदी में भी बात कर सकता हूँ, मैं हिंदी रीड भी कर सकता हूँ, मैं बॉलीवुड मूवीज देखता हूँ और मैं हिंदी गाने सुनता हूँ और अभी मैं फिलहाल पंजाबी भी लर्न कर रहा हूँ. ठीक है? These are languages, bro. This is my culture as well. Like, of course, I'm a Canadian now. I've lived in Canada for so long. But, like, I'm never going to be able to let go of that Indian side to me. And if you're an immigrant and you move to America and you move to Canada, you should be proud of your ancestral ethnic origins. But you should also learn and adapt to Western culture if you want to live here. Because if you come to Rome, you got to do as Romans do. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to kid you or anything else about that. But my point is this. At that moment, I stood up. I stood up for this helpless woman. And I'm not trying to say that in a way which is super braggadocious, like, yo, look at me, I'm some sort of hero who saved the day. I stood up for this lady because if this lady did not if I didn't do anything, this lady would not stand up for herself. And there's so many people like this who are dealing with bullshit like this in customer service, which is why I have to, I tip my hat, bro. I tip my hat to anybody in customer service, bro, because I know how hard that shit is. I've been in customer service before. Man, some customers need therapy. And the problem is, sorry, let me just get my hair right. You know what I'm saying? Sorry, God, look sexy, y'all. You know what I'm saying? There we go. But the problem is, you are not their therapist. They should get their bag straight so they can afford therapy or afford a fucking psychologist or a freaking mental specialist. You're not there to be their therapist. You are a customer service representative. You're doing your job and you're trying to provide a service on behalf of your company. You're trying to be respectful and as polite as you can and help the customers. That's your job. But it's not if the customer disrespects you, I don't care. You set them straight. And if your manager has a problem with that, then you let your manager know that this is wrong and they should not behave this way. Now, I know that sounds very easy for me to say because my situation is not like your situation. You might have a lot more on the line. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get it, bro. You know what I'm saying? I get it. Like, you have bills to pay. You have your phone bills. You have your rent. We all have bills. You know what I'm saying? We all got bills that we have to pay. So I'm not here to sit over here. I'm not going to, like, tell you to sacrifice your job and put your family's life on the line. But what I am going to say is that you should stand up for yourself. And if you feel like your manager is not going to help you in that situation, when you're standing up to a customer that is quite literally bullying you, because that's the thing, these bullies don't stop. Bullies are always going to be there in life, bro. It doesn't stop in high school. I'm just afraid I'm afraid I have to let you know about that, you know? But if you feel like if your manager is not being respectful or considerate of your boundaries, find a different job. I don't care, bro. I don't care. Nobody has the right to disrespect you. And you have to stand up for yourself. Because if you don't stand up for yourself, people will walk all over you. They will. They absolutely will. But that is the number one thing that a manager is afraid of. A toxic manager is afraid of. Is somebody who spots disrespect and brings light to that disrespect and lets everybody know, especially the entire team or the entire company, that, excuse me, this is wrong. And a good manager will always respect you for standing up, but a toxic manager probably will fire you for it. So keep going and stand up for yourself. No matter the cost, stand up for yourself. And if you see any sort of injustice happening, stand up for those who don't have the strength to stand up for themselves. My name is Shanchita, and your Shanti lies within.